and your organization came highly recommended by several people. And we kind of also thought this was a timely, unfortunately, it's always a timely issue, but in particular right now for the state of Michigan, it's pretty timely. So now you're a MD, right? You're
Correct. I'm a retired
disease?
physician. I was in the business for about 40 years in private practice here in Ann Arbor, based at St. Joe's Hospital. And my specialty was infectious diseases, which might cause you to think, why would an infectious disease doc be interested in gun violence prevention? But I joined this organization, Physicians for Prevention of Gun Violence, probably a couple years before I retired, because we had a presentation at our hospital, and just as a father and a grandfather and a human being, I was very concerned already about just the rising incidence of gun violence in the U.S. over the previous 10 years. Number of mass shootings, number of gun deaths had gone up, and the statistic that really got me was that in 2021, gun violence became the #1 killer of kids aged 1 to 19 in the U.S., surpassed motor vehicle accidents. So that really got my attention. So I said, well, this is an organization I want to be part of and do what I can, but I was so busy working until I retired, I didn't really have the time to put into this that I wanted to. So a couple of years ago, one of the founders, Jerry Walden, who's a friend of mine, said, you need to get more involved and you need to join the board, and I did. So as an aside, I found out that when Jerry Walden asked you out for a cup of coffee, you're going to leave with a new job, and that's exactly what happened. So he nominated me to join the board. I joined the board. That was probably 2.5 years ago, and then I became vice president. He stepped down as president. The vice president became president. I got voted in as vice president, and then a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, the president had enough, and I moved up to president. So I've been president of the organization for about a year.
Wow, that's amazing. So the Physicians for the Prevention of Gun Violence, how did that start? When did it start?
Yeah.
This is the first time I've really heard of it.
Yeah, pretty interesting story. So Jerry Walden, who I mentioned, is a family medicine doc in Ann Arbor. He actually has been very socially active, I think, his whole career. He started a clinic called the Packard Clinic in Ann Arbor for low-income, uninsured, underinsured people, and he did that for his whole career. And he and another Ann Arbor doc by the name of Andy Zweifler had been discussing these rising incidents of mass shootings, et cetera. There was one at Virginia Tech at the end of 2010. And the final blow was when Gabby Giffords, congresswoman in Arizona, was shot in the head in a parking lot while giving a speech. And they said, okay, we need to do something more formal about this. So the two of them formed Physicians for Prevention of Gun Violence. It's a Michigan-based organization. We have over 600 members, mostly physicians and a few other people. And our focus has been educating about and advocating for gun violence prevention in the state of Michigan. Until the last couple of years, our main focus was educating other healthcare providers, doing grand round speeches at various hospitals, doing community education, and also getting more involved in things like silence the violence events and gun buyback and demolition events.
And you said that the PPGV was actually instrumental in the End Gun Violence Michigan chapter. Is that correct? Didn't you start it?
He's the bishop for the Lower Peninsula of Michigan for the Episcopal Church in Michigan. And Pastor Barry Randolph, who's the pastor at also an Episcopal Church, were two of the driving forces that helped get this organization together. And they recognize that a lot of people, faith-based organizations and other organizations, like PPGV were trying to do what they could to educate people, raise awareness of what a public health crisis has had begun. Forum, a larger organization, to bring us all together to the same table, share ideas, work together in educating and also advocating and lancing for common sense gun laws. 2 years ago, for the first time in 40 years, Democrats controlled both houses in Michigan Congress, where common sense gun laws were passed and implemented a year ago. End gun violence Michigan was a very a lot of other people were involved as well, including survivors and families and interested parties related to the Oxford High School shooting, and then the Michigan State shooting, which was 2 years ago in February. The legislator, we're not asking you, we're telling you, we need to put some gun laws in place to help protect people. And if you're not going to do it, we'll find someone else who could do it. So that was pretty remarkable how the students rose up and made their voices heard.
Yeah.
So interesting. Those 4 gun laws were passed 2 years ago. In 1 year ago, in February, on the anniversary of the Michigan State shooting in February, the gun laws were put in place, went into action. And then this year there were a few more gun laws that were passed last year and are now in place.
Wow, that's great. I mean, definitely moving in the right direction. And then you got involved with St. Aidan's. Tell me again how you got connected with St. Aidan's Episcopal Church.
So one of the things End Gun Violence did was every June is Gun Violence Prevention Month in the state of Michigan, and it's actually become a national thing now. And there's a Wear Orange Day, one day in June every summer nationally, and orange has become the color of gun violence protest, gun violence rejection, gun violence prevention. And the idea being that hunters wear orange so they're not shot by other hunters, and we want to wear orange to let people know that we don't want to be shot and we don't want any other people unnecessarily shot with guns. So, Pastor Barry in Detroit, who I mentioned, some 18 years ago when he became pastor at Church of the Messiah in Detroit, he had a lot of great ideas. He was a young guy. He wanted to do a lot of things for the community. In his first couple of weeks there, 2 or 3 young men were killed from gun violence. And he said, okay, this is my mission now. And he started the Silence of Violence March in the streets of Detroit some 18 years ago. I think this year was the 19th annual.
Wow.
And he has a big ceremony, a program where a lot of people from the city speak, and government officials and police chiefs, etc. And then there's a couple mile march around his neighborhood with signs and chanting, etc. So End Gun Violence Michigan 3 years ago said, hey, we should start doing this at other places. And so a lot of other places in Michigan had their own Silence of Violence events, and St. Aidan's in Ann Arbor volunteered to do one. And my wife and I went and volunteered and met all these great people and said, this is, and we were looking for a new church community to be involved with. We said, these are the kind of people we want to be part of the community with. So we had our 3rd annual Silence of Violence event at St. Aidan's this summer, and I was one of the organizers. And we joined the parish, and that's where we are now.
Yeah, and now you run this Disarmory Ministry. Is that what you call it?
Yes. So let me tell you about that story. It's quite interesting. So another pioneer and visionary in the local gun violence prevention movement in Southeast Michigan is a gentleman by the name of Father Chris Yaw, Y-A-W. He is the pastor at St. David's Episcopal in Southfield. And 3 years ago, he was tired of hearing about parishioners getting injured by guns. He had a couple suicides of elderly parishioners. He said, so he decided we've got to do something about it. And he started having gun buybacks at his church. In the first 2 summers, they had a daily gun buyback event. They gave out gift cards for people bringing in handguns and long guns, and even the occasional military type assault rifle, assault weapon. And it was very successful. It took in over 200 guns for 2 straight summers. What wasn't successful was the fact that they were turning these guns into the state police, who then turned them over to a company called Gunbusters based in Missouri. And Gunbusters were allegedly going to destroy these guns with a pulverizer. But as it turned out, a couple Decembers ago in the New York Times, there was an expose that revealed that Gunbusters were destroying parts of the gun, like the serial number and the trigger mechanism, but they were salvaging other parts of the guns and actually sold them to be part of ghost gun kits, where people can buy these kits online and get a hold of them fairly easily and put them together and actually have a functional gun without a serial number, without any trace by government organizations. So he was pretty disgusted when he found that out. And he said, okay, last year he decided, all right, we're going to have another gun buyback, but this time we're going to destroy the guns ourselves. Make sure that no one else can use these, that parts can't be sold to make ghost guns. So at 6 different Episcopal churches in Southeast Michigan, the first one being in St. David's in Southfield, June of last year. He had people, he advertised pretty heavily, and people drove up and brought their guns in, and still offered them gift certificates, places like Kroger's and Myers and Target, for their guns, but also had them stay and watch us destroy their guns with big chop saws. These saws have 14 or 16-inch blades, and they're diamond tip blades because those gun barrels are made to last forever. And even with these big guys with these big blades, diamond tipped, sometimes it still takes 5 minutes to get through one of those gun barrels and get through a handgun. So, so Ann Arbor again was one of the St. Aidan's in Ann Arbor was one of the sites where we did that. There were sites in Pontiac, West Bloomfield, in Detroit down at the Church of the Messiah. We had an event down there as well.
Oh, wow.
And I attended quite a few of those. And between the 6 places, we took in about 330 guns. These are all unwanted guns that people have at home that they want to get rid of. And it turns out we think there may be 400 million guns in the U.S. Nobody's quite sure. That's the best estimate, which means we have more guns in the U.S. than people. And it's thought that up to a quarter of those guns, up to 100 million guns, may be unwanted guns sitting in people's houses that they acquired passively, meaning they didn't go out and buy them. Either
Right.
They were given as a gift. A lot of them are inherited from a loved one who dies or doesn't want their guns anymore, and people don't know what to do with them. So this program offers that opportunity for people to bring these unwanted guns in. Some people don't want to go to law enforcement necessarily, and some police stations are so overwhelmed with guns they can't store them anymore anyway.
Wow.
So this is an opportunity for people to donate their guns, get them out of their house. And it's amazing to go to one of these events because for a number of reasons, but the most remarkable thing is talking to these people, and every one of them have a different story about why they need this, why they want this gun out of their house. At most of these events, we took in at least one assault weapon as well.
Wow.
We're able to destroy it. And to a person, these people are very grateful and very relieved to get this gun out of their house, gun or guns sometimes. And probably half the time they don't even want the gift certificate that we offer them. They're not there for the gift certificate. They're there to get the gun out of their house that they don't want, and for peace of mind.
Right.
So those were 6 events last year. They were very successful. Father Chris, who's a real visionary, said, okay, this worked great. We need to do more of this. And next year, meaning this year, we're going to form a new nonprofit called Disarmory Ministries.org. So, I'm sorry, disarmory.org is another website to check out. And we formed the nonprofit earlier this year. I'm on the board, along with Father Chris and a few other great people. And we decided every week we're going to find a place that will allow us to do this on a weekly basis. And there's a Presbyterian church called Greenfield Presbyterian in Southfield, in Berkeley, Michigan. I'm sorry. It's on Greenfield Road, near 11 Mile in Greenfield. It's right on the border between Southfield and Berkeley. And this Presbyterian parish was kind enough to let us use their parking lot next to their church to set up shop. And every Saturday, we have an old church bus full of equipment in a storage place. We roll the bus down the road, unload everything. We set up a few tents. We have 2 chop saws. We have 2 security guys who run the chop saws. We have an arts and crafts tent set up. And people can go on the website and make an appointment, so they don't have to wait in line for an hour, which is what happened sometimes at these events last year.
Right.
Make an appointment, bring their gun in, or just show up without an appointment. We don't care. And we will get rid of their gun for them. So that started in May 1st, and it's still going on weekly. We're going to, through the winter, we decided we're going to start doing it monthly, and we're going to try to grow this program. We've taken in a couple hundred guns this summer, just at that one site. May kind of went gangbusters in May. We took in over 90 guns just in the month of May, and then things slowed down a bit from there. So Disarmory Ministries is going to carry on, and that organization has sponsored a couple daily events this month. This Saturday, tomorrow, there's going to be an event at Plymouth St. John's Church in Plymouth, Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
From 10 to 2. And then a week from tomorrow, we're going to do it again at St. Aidan's in Ann Arbor. We're going to have a gun buyback and demolition event from 9 to 1, kind of building on the momentum we had from last year. And I'm one of the organizers, along with Reverend Tom Ferguson at St. Aidan's. And we're scrambling to get all our ducks in order right now, make sure we have enough volunteers, enough guys to man the chop saws. We're going to have 5 or 6 chop saws going. And also, as part of that event, there will be a presentation. Last year, we were honored to have Debbie Dingle attend, and we presented her with a Golden Gun Lock Award. And we're going to have a couple other Michigan legislators there this year. We'll also have some music and some food, and it's it's an amazing event. It's kind of an all-day thing. We start at 8 a.m. setting things up, and we go till 2 p.m. breaking things down. And in between then, there's 20 or 30 volunteers with brightly colored shirts running around, and chainsaws are going, and cars are driving in and driving out. We have people greet the cars as they come in. We have people shepherd them. We have a shepherd that stays with that car through the whole process. As they get checked in, they go through, we get the security guys take their guns. They can go to the arts and crafts table where we have people making art out of the gun pieces, which is really phenomenal to see. Yeah. If you go on disarmory.org, you can see some examples of that. And then we have a gift card and gift card station. And people can also, if they want, they can take a piece of art instead of a gift card. They can take one of our T-shirts. So it's quite a process. And we did it 6 times last summer, so we kind of have it down to a science now.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, if let's say somebody listening to this in Michigan wants you to come and do an event at their church or their organization, is that something that you guys would do?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to be doing that more and more. We're also we're hoping as far to our knowledge, we're the only place in the country that's doing these weekly gun buyback events in
Right.
Berkeley, and we're hoping that we're going to start spreading that to other towns, other areas in Michigan and beyond. But in the meantime, yeah, we helped a church in Ohio last month to do an event. We helped them set it up and help sponsor it with them, and we're helping with these events in Plymouth and Ann Arbor. Yes. So if there's a church or a private organization that wants us to help them set up an event like this, absolutely contact us through disarmory.org. There's an area there where you can email us and we'll get back to you and talk about it. But absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So when your church is ready to do it, let us know.
Yes. I'm sure that after they hear this episode, the wheels will be turning. So.
Right.
Now, so you've been involved in all these organizations, and I know you mentioned children, but can you just talk about the groups maybe that are more disproportionately affected by gun violence? I mean, maybe there's not, but it might help us to understand that more.
That's a great question, and it's absolutely the case. So first of all, there are, up until a year or two ago, there were over 40,000 gun violence deaths in the U.S., and probably at least 3 times that many of gun violence injuries that we maybe don't talk about enough. But some of these people are disabled for life, and if they're not physically disabled, they develop PTSD, and a lot of their family members do too. Right. So many people in the U.S. are touched by gun violence, and over 4,000 kids a year were dying from gun violence. That's a kid every 2 hours in the U.S. dying from gun violence. The majority of deaths are suicides and homicides, and the number of suicides have continued to go up over the last 20 years, gun-related suicides, and probably 60 to 70% now of gun deaths are in suicide. So that's a big focus of our efforts. One of the laws that went into effect last year is called ERPO, Extreme Risk Protection Order, also known as a red flag law. And if you identify someone who you think may be a risk to themselves or others and have access to a gun, you can petition a judge to take the gun out of that house temporarily until things have settled down. And when we hear all the stories about kids and people that are involved in mass shootings and all the warning signs were there, that's the situation where you want to intervene before the event happens. Right. So that's the big focus of our education now. But in terms of demographics and particular groups that are affected inordinately, people of color are the main groups that are there's a big discrepancy in risks for gun violence. People of Hispanic origin are, compared to their white counterparts, are 4 times more likely to be killed by gun violence. Wow. And Black or African American people are 20 times more likely than their white counterparts to be killed by gun violence. So there's a big discrepancy there, and that's another area that's an area of research, an area of importance to figure out why this is happening. A lot of that happens in big urban areas, and a big thing that's been going on the last few years is community violence intervention teams. Detroit has one that's been very effective. You may know that the homicide rate in Detroit has come down significantly the last 2 years, and it's at its lowest levels in about 30 years. So kudos to the leadership in Detroit, the police chief, the Wayne County Sheriff, the faith leaders in Detroit like Barry Pearson, who have been making a big impact on gun violence in Detroit. Yes, there's a lot of work to be done. The good news was, over the last couple of years, those numbers that I told you about, 40,000 deaths, 4,000 in kids, looked like they were starting to come down. I'm on the Washtenaw Community Violence Intervention Team in Washtenaw County, and homicides in the last 2 years have come down there as well. Unfortunately, with the change in administration this year, a lot of things that were heading in the right direction, helping things head in the right direction, have come to a halt. For example,
Yes.
in the Biden administration, there was a White House office for gun violence prevention that was put in place 2 years ago. It had a great director with a lot of great ideas. There were a list of 20 things that they did over the last 2 years that were positively impacting gun violence and holding gun dealers to kind of to the fire and making sure they follow the laws that are in place, et cetera. And on day one of the Trump administration, that office was gone, the director was gone, the program was gone. And sorry to bring politics into this. I'll try
I understand.
try to be a good boy.
I understand.
So right now is a very challenging time for a number of reasons, but none of us are giving up. I think we're all just saying we just have to work harder to continue the momentum we have in places like Michigan and a lot of other states that have a lot of great people working on this and concerned about it and advocating for gun violence prevention.
Yeah. We have some good leaders that are working on this issue. So
Yep.
It'd be great to see more of them at some of your events. So yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Everyone's invited.
So thinking about this, especially with so this will be coming out next week, and so people will still have Grand Blanc on their mind, that are listening.
Oh yeah.
So how can we have conversations, maybe better, I don't want to say better conversations, as much maybe effective conversations about gun violence, especially people who are kind of like I know a lot of people who are on the fence, like they're like wrestling with the idea of, man, they definitely want to see gun violence down, but they're also like, don't take away my Second Amendment right.
Yep.
And a lot of them are fighting for all of our amendment rights, so those are good. How do we just have effective conversations around this?
That's a great question, and thanks for bringing it up. That's probably the hardest part of what we do. And it's hard for a number of reasons. Number one, this is a very emotional issue for everybody. Like I mentioned, a large percentage of Americans have had either a family member or a friend affected by gun violence, either directly or indirectly. The former Surgeon General put out a report last year about gun violence as a public health crisis. And if anyone gets a chance to read that, it's amazing. There's all kinds of statistics in there and information about how we got where we are, and also a lot of potential solutions, legislative and otherwise, technology, et cetera. So if you just Google Surgeon General's report on gun violence, you'll find it.
All right. And I'll definitely add that in the show notes.
Yeah,
people
please
can
do.
Grab it. Yeah.
Please do. Yeah, it's really worth a read. And it really is a public health crisis as far as we're concerned. But yes, people feel very strongly on both sides of this, and there are a lot of people on the fence. You're right, for a number of reasons. And I've had a lot of very good discussions with people who are big Second Amendment rights proponents and gun owners. And what I found, a couple things that help. Number one, take a breath and try to stay calm, and try to have empathy for the other person, because you both likely came from different backgrounds, and that's why you have different perspectives. So try to think how they might be thinking and why they're coming at it from their perspective. And I have a brother kind of in that situation, and he and I have had some great discussions about this. And I think the first thing to do is try to find common ground. Say, is there something we can agree on? And most people agree gun violence is bad. People dying from gun violence and suicide is bad. Kids dying from gun violence is bad, and how can we reduce those numbers and keep these things from happening. And most gun owners I know, and we've had gun owners come to our events and turn in guns that they don't want anymore, etc. And I thank them for coming, and most of them are very good about gun safety. So when someone owns a lot of guns and they're very proud of the Second Amendment in this country, trying to tell them guns are bad and you need to get rid of your guns is not going to get you anywhere. That's going to lead to the shouting match we're trying to avoid.
Right.
So what you can say is thank you for being conscientious about storing your gun safely. That's the number one thing we want people to do. If you have a gun, for whatever reason, please store it safely. Don't let a kid get a hold of it. Don't let someone in your family or somebody visiting find out you have an unlocked gun with ammunition in it at your bedside, and on the day that they're feeling very depressed and going down the black hole, don't let them have the ability to grab your gun and use it for suicide, because we know that a lot of, number one, when you attempt suicide by gun violence, it's very effective compared to other ways. You're very likely to die from it or be permanently disabled. But number two, if someone doesn't have ready access to a suicide method, at the moment that they're really thinking, I need to do this, if there's a gun that's locked up or there's not a gun available, sometimes you get past those first few minutes and you calm down or you call somebody or you intervene, and then it's not going to happen. So so safe storage, which is a law in Michigan, if there's any kids in your house or any kids that might be at your house or any kids that might be in your car, and you store a gun unsafely, and that kid gets a hold of it, even if they don't injure anyone or kill anyone, if they just get access to your gun, that's against the law now in Michigan, and you're going to do jail time and or pay a hefty fine. Right. So one of the points of emphasis for our organization is safe storage.
Yes.
We tell our physicians, you have to bring it up with your patients. If you ask someone, do you have a gun at home? If they do, half the time they'll say no, because they don't want it in their record. They don't want the government knowing they have guns. People get kind of paranoid about it. But if you approach it as counseling, if you have a gun at home, this is what you need to do. This is the law. This is how you need to store it safely. Use the gun lock, keep it separate or safe, keep it separate from ammunition.
Right.
So your kids and your grandkids and your visitors and nobody can get a hold of it. Someone can't break into your house and steal your gun and use it for a crime. So,
right.
So that's a big point of emphasis. But to get back to your original question, I got off on a tangent a little bit.
That's okay. I think it's very important. Yeah. And also
finding common ground, trying to stay calm.
Yep.
And emphasizing that we love gun owners who are conscientious and store their gun safely, I think is the best approach I've found to talking to people. Unfortunately, since this country was founded and the Constitution was written, it's been a country of gun culture, like no other country's ever been in the history of the planet. And there's a whole lot of reasons for why the Second Amendment was put in, and there's a lot of debate about that. Whether it really meant that we should just own as many guns as we want, use them however we want. It was put in place in part to help some of the southern states feel more comfortable that they could stand up against the federal government. There's a big debate then about states versus federal rights. Stand up against the federal government by having being able to carry their own arms. Also, there was probably some racism involved. A lot of states that had a lot of slaves wanted the white slave owners to be able to have guns and able to keep their slaves from revolting and under control, et cetera. So there's a whole lot of interesting information out there about where the Second Amendment came from and what it meant then and what it means now. But certainly not anytime soon is that going to change. number of people that are convinced that the Second Amendment is here forever,
Right.
and we just have to kind of have to accept that and emphasize what we could, other than getting rid of the Second Amendment, what can we do to keep people as safe as possible in this country?
Yeah. That's really interesting what you shared about the history. I hadn't thought about that, and then also made me think of, especially the part where you were talking about keeping slaves from revolting.
Yeah.
And then now, of course, that African Americans are 20 times more likely to be a victim of. And so, yeah,
Well,
it would be.
if I could mention, there's a fascinating book called The Second, and I might have it here, and I forget the author, but it's just The Second, SECOND. And it's about the whole history of the Second Amendment and how, per this author, and it's extensively researched, how it's been kind of associated with racism since its inception, all through the years. And even now, as you mentioned, that people of color and African Americans are much more disproportionately represented in as gun violence victims compared to the rest of the population.
Wow. Well, I'm definitely putting that book on my reading list, and I'll share a link to that one too. Yeah, because I think there are a lot of people listening who will maybe have no idea. It
was very eye-opening to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And of course, that's one theory by this person, but there's a lot of citations and data to back it up. And there are other people that have completely different interpretations of the history of the Second Amendment, of course.
Right. But I think it's good to hear that side as well, right?
We have gun owners in our organization. One of our board members for Disarmory Ministries owns a lot of guns. He's a retired police chief. Mm-hmm. He tells his friends and people, this organization is not here to take your guns away.
Yeah.
We're here to keep people safe and give the opportunity to people who have guns they don't want to get rid of them. So.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely, well, my opinion is there's definitely too many. Probably don't need 3 guns for every human, and so or more than that, I think it is. And also didn't realize it was such a thing until my kids went to this international event, and there were a lot of high school students from other countries. And one of the number one, anytime they met somebody from another country, the number one question that person asked my kids were, is it really true that you guys have so many guns?
Yeah.
Because people
from around the world, we're unique that way. People from around the world are confused and very curious about why it is how it is, but it's our culture, and it's always been that way. I just want to encourage your listeners to stay involved, keep up on things. If someone really wants to follow closely what's going on nationally in terms of gun violence, let me give you one more link, and that's it's a newsletter called The Trace, TRACE, and you can Google them, and you can get on their email list, and a couple times a week they put out an amazing report of gun violence events that have happened around the country, and more importantly, what people are trying to do about it, legislative approaches, community violence intervention stuff. It's really an outstanding source for people really interested in this topic and want to kind of try to keep up to date.
Yeah, I think that